When I walked into my own birthday party with a black eye, the dining room fell silent. Every pair of eyes fixed on my face, on the violent swelling around my right eye. Then my daughter Harper stepped forward. "Mom had it coming," Harper said proudly. "My husband knocked some sense into her." 50 people, neighbors, old friends, my book club, turned to her in shock. I could see the horror spreading across their faces like a wave, but I didn't cry. I didn't shrink back in humiliation. I just smiled. Because I knew something they didn't, something Harper and her husband Ethan didn't know either. In exactly 4 minutes, the doorbell would ring, and when Ethan answered that door, his life would turn into a living hell. My name is Catherine Hayes. Today is my 60th birthday. My husband James died 3 years ago from a heart attack while raking leaves. 1 minute, he was complaining about the neighbor's oak tree dropping acorns in our yard. The next minute, he was gone. I didn't get to say goodbye. Didn't get to tell him I loved him one more time. The paramedics worked on him for 10 minutes in our front yard, while I stood there in my apron, unable to move. The neighbors came out to watch. Mrs. Chen held my hand, but I couldn't feel anything except the cold October wind. The grief came in waves after that. Some days I'd make 2 cups of coffee in the morning, set 2 plates at dinner, call out, "Honey, did you see my reading glasses?" To an empty house. Harper saved me. My only child, my miracle baby. I'd had 6 miscarriages before Harper. 6 times I'd felt that flutter of hope, only to have it ripped away. The last one nearly killed me, hemorrhaging in the bathroom at 3 a.m, James holding me on the tile floor, both of us crying. The doctor said we should stop trying, that my body couldn't handle another loss. But 11 months later, I got pregnant again. We didn't tell anyone, didn't buy anything, didn't even talk about names. We were too terrified. When Harper was born healthy and screaming at 3:42 a.m. on a Tuesday in March, James cried so hard the nurses thought something was wrong. They kept asking if he was okay. He couldn't even speak. He just held her, this tiny, perfect thing we'd waited so long for, and sobbed. After James died, Harper came over 3-4 times a week, brought groceries, sat with me, told me about her day at work, forced me to shower, to get dressed, to keep living. "Mom, you have to eat," she'd say, pushing a plate of scrambled eggs toward me. "Dad would be so mad if he saw you like this." She was right. James would have been furious. So I survived, day by day, week by week, until the fog lifted enough that I could breathe again. A few months after we buried James, Harper met Ethan Cole at a charity fundraiser. She was 29, working as a marketing director for a tech startup. He was 34, a contractor who specialized in historic home renovations, tall, handsome, with these warm brown eyes and a smile that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. I liked him immediately. He was attentive to Harper, brought me flowers when he came for dinner, fixed the loose railing on my porch without being asked, laughed at James's old jokes that I still told badly. He seemed perfect. They were engaged in 6 months, married 3 months after that. "When you know," Harper said, glowing in her dress fitting. "Mom, I've never been this happy." And she was happy, at first. Ethan suggested they move into my house temporarily while they saved for their own place. The house is big, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, way too much space for one widow. I was thrilled to have regular company. "Just for a year," Ethan promised, shaking my hand like we were business partners. "We'll be out before you know it." That was 18 months ago. The first 3 months were good, great even. Ethan worked long hours, but always came home with stories that made Harper laugh. He'd cook dinner on Fridays, his famous carbonara, that was actually pretty terrible, but we all pretended it was delicious. Harper got a promotion. We'd watch old movies together on Sunday nights, the 3 of us on the couch like a real family. Then small things started changing. Ethan began commenting on Harper's weight. "Babe, maybe skip the breadsticks?" "You know how bloated you get," said with a smile, wrapped in concern, but Harper's face would fall. He started picking at her clothes. "Is that what you're wearing to the office?" "It's a little much, don't you think?" He questioned her friendships. "Olivia seems kind of toxic. All she does is complain about her boyfriend. That energy rubs off, you know?" One by one, Harper's friends stopped coming around. She stopped going to her yoga class. She started wearing looser clothes, darker colors. The light in her eyes, that brightness that had been there since she was a little girl, started dimming. I tried to say something once. Harper was in the kitchen, making Ethan's coffee exactly the way he liked it. 2 sugars, splash of oat milk heated to 140 degrees, not 145. "Honey," I said carefully, "is everything okay with you and Ethan?" She went very still. "Of course." "Why would you ask that? You just seem different lately." Quieter. "I'm fine, Mom." Her voice had an edge I'd never heard before. "Ethan says you have a tendency to be overprotective, that I'll never grow up if you keep treating me like a child. Can you just give us space, please?" That stung, but I backed off. I didn't want to be that mother-in-law, the one who couldn't accept her daughter was married now. So I kept quiet, but I kept seeing things that made my stomach hurt. The way Harper flinched when Ethan's voice got sharp. The way she'd check her phone constantly, texting him updates. "Just letting him know where I am," she'd explain. "He worries." The bruise on her arm, she said, came from bumping into a door frame. The fact that she'd lost 15 pounds and looked gray. 6 months ago, I started noticing Ethan looking at me differently, assessing, like I was a problem he was calculating how to solve. He started making comments about the house. "This place is too big for you, Catherine. Have you thought about downsizing? There are some lovely senior communities with activities, people your own age." "I like my house," I said. Of course. That warm smile. "I just worry about you here alone. All these stairs, what if you fell?" Then he started being more direct. "Harper and I have been talking. We think it makes sense for you to sign the house over to us. For estate planning purposes. You'd still live here, obviously, but it protects the asset, avoids probate later." "I'm not ready to think about that," I said. His smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. "We'll revisit it." 2 weeks ago, I was cleaning out the guest room closet, the room that used to be Harper's childhood bedroom, and I found a box shoved in the back. James's old files. I was going to throw them out, but I got nostalgic and started looking through. That's when I found the folder labeled "Background Check Ethan Cole." My hand started shaking as I opened it. James had hired a private investigator 3 weeks before he died. 3 weeks before Harper even met Ethan. But the report was dated 2 months after James's death. The investigator must have sent it to the house after James was gone. Must have assumed I'd want to see it. I sat on the floor of Harper's old bedroom and read the whole thing, and my blood turned to ice. Ethan Cole wasn't Ethan Cole. His real name was Ethan Castellano. He'd been married twice before. His first wife, Miranda, died 4 years ago in a fall down the stairs. She had a life insurance policy for $300,000. His second wife, Ashley, died 2 years ago in a car accident. She had a life insurance policy for $400,000. Both women looked like Harper. Blonde, thin, delicate features. Both women had wealthy parents who owned their homes. Both deaths were ruled accidental. And sitting at the bottom of the investigator's report was a note in James's handwriting. "Keep digging." Something's not right. My husband had known. Somehow, James had known, even before Harper met Ethan, that this man was dangerous. But James died before he could warn me. I looked up from that file, and that's when I noticed Ethan was standing in the doorway, watching me with suspicion. "Find something interesting, Catherine?" The mask had slipped. I could see it in his eyes, and I knew my daughter was in danger. That was 8 days ago. After Ethan saw me with that folder, something shifted in the air. "Catherine," he said, his voice smooth as silk, "you look upset. Let me help you up." He stepped into the room. I clutched the folder to my chest. "I'm fine," I said. "Just going through some old papers." "James's files?" His eyes flicked to the folder. "It must be hard, going through his things, all those memories." He was standing between me and the door now. "Harper's worried about you," he continued. "She says you've been forgetful lately. Leaving the stove on, forgetting appointments. Maybe it's time we talked about getting you some help. Someone to check in on you, make sure you're taking your medications correctly. I'd been taking blood pressure pills every morning for 5 years. Little white pills Ethan had helpfully started bringing me with my coffee 3 months ago. So you don't forget, he'd said. I hadn't been forgetful before he started bringing me those pills. I think I'll manage, I said, standing up. My legs felt weak, but I kept my voice steady. If you'll excuse me. He stepped aside, but as I passed him, he put his hand on my shoulder. Catherine, I hope you know how much Harper and I care about you. We just want what's best, for everyone. His fingers squeezed around my shoulder, a threat wrapped in concern. I went to my room and locked the door. Then I sat on my bed and opened my laptop with trembling hands. I searched, Ethan Castellano Miranda Hayes. The first result was an obituary from 4 years ago. Miranda Hayes Castellano was a young woman with blonde hair and Harper's delicate bone structure, smiling at the camera. I found Ashley next, Ashley Peterson Castellano. Died 2 years ago, another blonde, another young wife, another tragic accident. I found their families' names and spent the next 3 hours tracking down contact information. Miranda's mother, Susan Hayes, lived in Connecticut. Ashley's sister, Rebecca Peterson, lived in Oregon. I called Susan first. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Mrs. Hayes, my name is Catherine. I'm calling about your daughter Miranda. There was a long pause. Then, who gave you this number? Please, I need to know what happened to her. My daughter is married to Ethan. Another pause. When she spoke again, her voice was different, urgent. Get your daughter away from him. Now. Tonight. I'm trying to understand. Miranda didn't fall down those stairs. Her voice cracked. I know she didn't. She was terrified of him. She called me 2 days before she died and said she was leaving him. She said she'd found something in his computer, something about his first wife. My blood went cold. His first wife? Before Miranda. A woman named Bethany. She died too. They said it was a hiking accident, but Miranda found emails, insurance paperwork. She was going to the police, but she fell down the stairs the next day. Ethan said she'd been drinking, that she slipped. The police believed him. Susan's voice turned bitter. The insurance company paid out. Ethan walked away with $300,000 and no questions asked. I closed my eyes. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Save your daughter. Because if he's moved on to wife number 3, she's running out of time. I called Ashley's sister next. Rebecca told me a similar story. Ashley had wanted to leave Ethan. Ashley had mentioned finding something suspicious. Ashley died in a car accident 3 weeks later, brake failure on a mountain road. The mechanic said the brake line looked cut, Rebecca said, but there was no proof. No cameras, and Ethan had an alibi. He was at a work site 2 hours away when the accident happened. After I hung up, I sat in my room and felt the walls closing in. Ethan had killed 3 women, 3 that I knew about, and now he was in my house, sleeping next to my daughter, planning God knows what. I needed proof, I needed help, but most of all, I needed time. The next morning, I stopped taking the little white pills Ethan brought me. I poured them down the sink when he wasn't looking. Within 2 days, the fog in my head started to clear. I'd been drugged for months, low doses, just enough to make me confused, forgetful, easy to gaslight. I started watching Ethan more carefully. He'd leave for work at odd hours. He'd spend time in the garage with the door closed. He'd taken out a life insurance policy on Harper 6 months ago. I found the paperwork hidden in his truck, $500,000. I wanted to grab Harper and run, but I knew Ethan would just follow. He was too invested now, too close to his goal. If we ran, he'd hunt us down. The only way to stop him was to trap him, to get him to reveal himself in a way he couldn't talk his way out of. So I made a plan. I called my brother Thomas, who lived in Florida. Told him everything. He wanted to come immediately, but I said no, not yet. I needed Ethan to think he was winning. I needed him to get sloppy. I called the private investigator whose name was on James's file, a man named Raymond Martinez. I hired him to dig deeper into Ethan's background and to make some very specific phone calls for me. And then I pushed Ethan carefully. 3 days ago, at dinner, I said, "Ethan, I've been thinking about what you said about the house. I'd like to talk to a lawyer about estate planning. Make sure everything is in order." His eyes lit up. "That's great, Catherine. Really smart. I'm meeting with my attorney tomorrow, just to go over James's will, make sure I understand everything. Would you and Harper like to come?" "Absolutely." He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "It's good you're being proactive about this." Harper looked between us, confused but relieved. She thought we were finally getting along. I never went to a lawyer, but I let Ethan think I was planning to sign over the house. I talked about downsizing, about senior communities, about wanting Harper to be taken care of. Ethan became more attentive, more helpful. His mask was firmly back in place. The perfect son-in-law, but I could see the calculation in his eyes, the impatience. He started pushing for Harper and me to take a girls' trip. "You two should go to that spa in Sedona you always talked about," he said at breakfast yesterday. "Just a week. I'll hold down the fort here." I knew what he was planning. Get us in the car. Harper driving, me in the passenger seat, a mountain road, brake failure, a terrible accident. 2 birds with 1 stone. He'd get the insurance money from Harper and the house from me, and he'd be the grieving widower who'd lost his wife and mother-in-law in one tragic moment. "That sounds lovely," I said. "Let me check my calendar." That afternoon, while Ethan was at work, I went into the garage. I found exactly what I was looking for. A small toolkit with wire cutters, fresh metal shavings on the floor near where my car was parked. He'd already been practicing. I took photos, sent them to Raymond Martinez, and then I called Thomas. "It's time," I said. "I need you to make those calls." Yesterday morning, I told Ethan I'd decided to have a birthday party. Nothing big, just some friends. Tomorrow night. My 60th birthday should be celebrated, don't you think? "Of course," Ethan said, but he looked annoyed. This wasn't part of his timeline. "Want me to help set up?" "That would be wonderful, Ethan." We spent the afternoon preparing. Ethan strung lights in the dining room. Harper baked a cake. I invited 50 people. Neighbors, my book club, Harper's old friends that she'd lost touch with, people from James's work. I wanted witnesses, lots of them. Last night, Ethan came to my room. I was getting ready for bed when I heard the soft knock. "Catherine, can we talk?" I opened the door. He was holding a glass of warm milk. "Thought this might help you sleep," he said. "Big day tomorrow." I took the glass. "Thank you, Ethan. That's very thoughtful. I just want you to know," he said, his voice sincere, "how grateful I am. For everything. For accepting me into your family, for being so welcoming." "Your family now," I said. He smiled. "Sleep well, Catherine." I closed the door, poured the milk down the bathroom sink. I could see the faint residue at the bottom of the glass. He'd put something in it. Something to make sure I'd sleep deeply. Maybe so deeply I wouldn't wake up. My heart was pounding. This was it. He was making his move. This morning, I woke up early. I got dressed. I did my makeup. I put on the pearls James gave me for our 30th anniversary, and then I went downstairs and confronted Ethan. He was in the kitchen, making coffee. Harper was still asleep. "I know who you are," I said quietly. "I know about Miranda, Ashley, Bethany." He went very still. When he turned around, his face was completely blank. "Catherine, I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do," I pressed. "I found James's file. I talked to their families. I know what you did." For a long moment, we just stared at each other. Then something changed in his expression. The mask cracked, and underneath was something terrifying. "You stupid old woman," he said softly. "You couldn't just die quietly like you were supposed to." "I'm not dying. And neither is Harper." He laughed. "Harper? Harper's already gone. She does whatever I tell her. She thinks you're losing your mind. I have videos of you confused, forgetting things, leaving the stove on. When you and Harper die in that tragic car accident next week, no one will question it. Poor Ethan, losing his wife and mentally ill mother-in-law. You mean the brake line you cut on my car? His smile widened. I have no idea what you're talking about. But if your brakes were to fail, well, you're 60 years old. These things happen. Cars malfunction. People are coming to my party tonight. 50 witnesses. You can't just... Can I? He stepped closer. You're going to cancel that party, Catherine. You're going to call everyone and tell them you're not feeling well, that you need rest. And then tomorrow, you and Harper are taking that trip to Sedona, just like we planned. And if I refuse, then I'll tell Harper you attacked me, that you've been having violent episodes, that you need to be institutionalized immediately. She'll believe me. She always does. He was inches from my face now. You've already lost, Catherine. The only question is whether you go quietly or make this harder on everyone. That's when I said it, the thing I'd been planning to say all along. James knew. Before he died. He hired an investigator to look into you. He knew what you were. Ethan's face went white. That's impossible. I never met James. No, but he must have seen you somewhere. At one of Harper's work events, maybe. Or maybe he just had a feeling. A father's instinct. He couldn't have known. He knew about Miranda. It's in the file. He was going to warn me and Harper before he died. I saw the realization dawn on Ethan's face. The fear. Where's the file? His voice was sharp now. Somewhere safe, I said with a faint smile. Where is it? He shouted, spit flying from his mouth. He grabbed my arm, hard. His fingers dug into my flesh like claws, and I felt something pop in my wrist. The pain was instant and sharp. You're going to tell me where that file is. Right now, or I'm going to break every bone in your hand, one by one, until you do. His grip tightened. I could feel my pulse pounding against his fingers, could see the veins in his neck bulging. This was it. The moment I'd been engineering for 8 days. No, I said quietly. Something snapped behind his eyes. The last thread of control. His fist came at me in a blur. I saw it coming, but didn't move. The impact was like lightning. His knuckles connected with my right eye socket with enough force to snap my head back and slam it against the kitchen cabinet behind me. The sound was sickening, bone on bone. Pain exploded across my face, white hot and blinding. I tasted copper. Blood was running down my cheek from a split in my eyebrow. The room tilted sideways. My knees buckled, but I didn't fall. I grabbed the counter and held myself up. Where is it? He screamed, his face inches from mine. His pupils were dilated. Where is James's file? My eye was already swelling. I could feel it closing, the tissue puffing up hot and tight. Blood dripped onto my collar, the nice white blouse I'd chosen specifically for today, for this moment. I smiled through the blood, through the pain, through the metallic taste filling my mouth. Thank you, I whispered. He froze. What? I needed you to hit me. I touched my swelling eye gently, felt the heat radiating. His face went from rage to confusion to slowly dawning horror. You set me up, he breathed. You baited me. He looked at my face, at his own reddened knuckles, at the blood on his hand. You wanted this. I straightened up, still holding the counter for support. My head was pounding, and I was pretty sure I was going to vomit. But I kept my voice steady. A bruise this bad doesn't lie. This came from a closed fist, Ethan. Not from falling, not from being clumsy. No one will believe you. I'll say you fell. You'll say I fell and somehow gave myself a perfect knuckle-shaped bruise on my right eye? That I fell and gave myself a split eyebrow at exactly fist height? I let out a breath. The police will see exactly what this is. His hand was shaking now. He looked at it like it belonged to someone else. You manipulated me. I learned from the best. I I pushed away from the counter, swaying slightly. You manipulated my daughter for 18 months, made her doubt herself, doubt me, doubt her own instincts. You drugged me, isolated her, planned to kill us both. So I gave you exactly what you wanted, a weak old woman who wouldn't shut up. And you couldn't resist, could you? You had to hurt me, had to put me in my place. You crazy bitch! He raised his fist again. I wouldn't. My voice was cold now. Hit me again, and you prove my point even more. 1 punch could be argued away. 2? That's a pattern. He lowered his hand, but his fingers were twitching. I could see him calculating. Could he fix this? Could he spin it? That's when we heard footsteps on the stairs. Harper. She'd heard the shouting, heard me scream. She was coming. Ethan's face transformed instantly, like a switch flipping. The rage disappeared. The mask slid back into place. When Harper came into the kitchen, he was gentle, concerned, helping me into a chair, but his hand on my arm was still trembling, and there was blood, my blood, on his knuckles. Your mother fell, he said smoothly, but his voice cracked on the word fell. She slipped, hit her face on the counter. Harper looked at my swelling eye, at the blood running down my face, at Ethan's shaking hands. Then she looked at me. This was my moment, my chance. I could tell her everything, but I knew she wouldn't believe me. Ethan had spent 18 months grooming her, isolating her. If I told her now, she'd think I was crazy. Having those violent episodes Ethan had been warning her about, so I said the only thing I could. I'm fine, honey. Just clumsy. We should cancel the party, Ethan said quickly. Your mom needs rest. No, I said firmly. I'm not canceling my party over a little bump. Ethan's jaw clenched, but he couldn't argue, not without looking like the bad guy. So here we are, 7:56 p.m., the party in full swing. 50 people in my dining room, Harper defending her husband, and me, smiling, waiting for the doorbell to ring, because at 8 p.m., Raymond Martinez, the private investigator, is bringing 2 very special guests to my party. Detective Sarah Chen from the Connecticut State Police. She's been investigating Miranda's death for 3 years, ever since Miranda's mother, Susan, refused to let the case die. And Detective Michael Torres from Oregon. He's been looking into Ashley's car accident, following up on that suspicious brake line. Both of them received files from Raymond last week, files with evidence, photos of the wire cutters in Ethan's garage, testimonies from the families, records of the life insurance policies, James's original investigation notes, my testimony about being drugged, and one more thing, something Ethan doesn't know about. 3 months ago, I had a security system installed, tiny cameras, hidden throughout the house, recording everything, including this morning, when Ethan threatened me, when he told me about planning to kill Harper and me in a car accident, when he admitted on camera that he'd cut my brake line. Raymond has all of it, and he gave it to the detectives. As the clock struck 8, the doorbell rang. Ethan's head snaps toward the sound. He looks at me. I'm still smiling with my black eye. Catherine, he says slowly. Who else did you invite? Go ahead, I say. Answer the door, they're here for you. For just a second, I see panic in his eyes. Pure, unfiltered panic. He's calculating. Should he run? Fight? Can he talk his way out of this? Harper looks between us, confused. Ethan? What's going on? He walks to the front door, opens it, and I watch the color drain from his face. 2 detectives in plain clothes, Raymond Martinez behind them. And behind them, in the driveway, 2 police cars. Ethan Castellano, Detective Chen says, we have a warrant for your arrest for the murders of Miranda Castellano and Ashley Castellano. The room erupts. People are gasping, standing, pulling out phones. Mrs. Chen from next door actually screams, but my attention is on Harper. Her face is frozen. She looks at Ethan, then at the detectives, then back at me. Mom, she whispers. What did you do? I saved your life, sweetheart. Ethan is arguing with the detectives, his voice rising. This is insane. Catherine is mentally ill. She's confused. She's been having episodes. We have recordings. Detective Torres cuts him off. Of you threatening Mrs. Hayes, of you admitting to cutting her brake line, of you discussing plans to murder your wife for insurance money. Ethan's mouth opens. He turns to look at me. I give him a small wave. You wired the house, he says. 3 months ago, right after you started drugging me. Harper makes a sound like she's been punched. He drugged you. The white pills he brought me every morning. They weren't blood pressure medication. They were making me confused, forgetful, so you'd think I was losing my mind. No, Harper says. She's shaking her head. No, Ethan wouldn't. Ethan is a serial killer, Detective Chen says gently. He's murdered at least 3 women that we know of. You were going to be number 4. Harper's legs give out. She collapses into a chair. Ethan is being handcuffed now. He's not arguing anymore. His mask has completely shattered. What's left is something cold and reptilian. You stupid bitch, he says to me. You should have just died. They lead him out. The party guests are in chaos. Some are crying, some are filming on their phones, some are trying to comfort Harper. Mrs. Chen is fanning herself with a napkin. I should feel triumphant, victorious. I caught a serial killer, I saved my daughter's life, but mostly I just feel tired. Detective Chen approaches me. Mrs. Hayes, we'll need you to come to the station tomorrow to give a full statement. We've been trying to build a case against him for 3 years. Your evidence is what we needed. You did the right thing. After the police leave, after most of the guests awkwardly file out, it's just Harper and me in the dining room. The birthday cake sits untouched on the table. The candles are still unlit. Harper is staring at her hands. She hasn't looked at me in 20 minutes. Harper, I say softly, you let him hit you. Her voice is hollow. You knew he was dangerous, and you let him hit you so you could catch him on camera. You used yourself as bait. I had to. It was the only way to get proof, the only way to make sure he couldn't hurt you. She finally looks up at me. Her eyes are red. How long have you known? 2 weeks since I found your father's file. 2 weeks. She laughs, but there's no humor in it. I've been living with a murderer for 18 months, sleeping next to him, defending him. And you knew for 2 weeks. I wanted to tell you sooner, but I knew he'd made you doubt yourself, doubt me. I needed proof that you couldn't deny. She puts her face in her hands and sobs. Deep, wrenching sobs that shake her whole body. I move to her, wrap my arms around her and hold her while she cries. I'm sorry, she says between sobs. I'm so sorry, Mom. I told everyone you had it coming. I defended him. I chose him over you. You were being manipulated. That's what abusers do. They make you doubt everyone who loves you. We sit like that for a long time. The birthday cake melts slowly in the warm room. Finally, Harper pulls away. She wipes her eyes. What happens now? Now you heal. We both do. I don't know if I can. You can. It'll take time. But you're stronger than you know. You're my daughter, and we're survivors. We sit in the wreckage of my birthday party. The police cars finally gone from the driveway. The neighbors' lights clicking off one by one. And I think about James, about how he tried to warn me even after death, about how he hired that investigator, left me that file, gave me the tools I needed to protect our daughter. Dad knew, Harper says, reading my mind. Even before Ethan and I met, Dad knew he was dangerous. Your father always had good instincts. Outside, the October wind picks up. The same wind that was blowing the day James died. The same wind that carried him away from us. But this time, the wind doesn't feel cold. It feels like a whisper, like a promise kept. Harper squeezes my hand. Happy birthday, Mom. I look at my daughter, alive, safe, free, and I smile. Thank you, sweetheart. It's the best birthday I could have asked for. Did I do the right thing? And what city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.